you know, the questions and things that you have. So let's jump into it. And Miss Juanita, let's roll the slide. So where are you in the planning stage for your business? For each planning stage, you're going to have to record if you've completed it, if you're working on it, or if you haven't started yet. Remember, there are no wrong answers. This is just to get you going. You want to set up yourself so that you have ideas actually down on paper, so that you're thinking through those that you need to support you. You want to think about your finances. You want to think about the insurance and things that you have to take care of to insure yourself and insure the company. There are myriad things that you have to focus on when you are becoming a business owner. And so the reason I have here, remember that there are no wrong answers, because there aren't. You want to just try to find out as much as you can to prepare yourself so that you're on sound footing when you open or start your business. So I like to recommend that people do this just in general with our finances, but I also recommend it specifically for people who are going to open up a business. You want to set up a time bi-weekly or monthly to evaluate the stage that you're in for your business. And that doesn't mean that you have to do something within 30 days or 60 days, but you at least gotta, you have to sit down and make sure that you're planning and trying to stay on track of your planning. That's all this is about. Next slide. So here we have a 4-step planning model. And the model is showing that step 1 is the back of the envelope or the back of the napkin plan, okay? So that's where you're really just trying to flesh things out in your head. And if you're like me, and probably Miss Juanita too, there are times when I'm coming up with something really good and I don't really have everything thought through, but I have a napkin or an envelope and I'm scribbling on that my idea. And so just as we might do it for a party or anything else, you want to know that that's not unusual. Step 2, resource plan. What do I need to move from the back of the envelope or the napkin to start going, meaning starting to really be more serious about my business and creating some sort of worksheet, beginning a long-term relationship with a banker, those types of things. So remember, back of the napkin plan, you're going to do your research and your planning, and you want to do a self-assessment. Is owning a business a good fit for me? And I think the way you find those things out is you talk to different people, particularly those who know you well, because they will be honest with you, not to steer you in the wrong direction, but to let you know, hey, these are the things that I see as your strengths. These are your weaknesses. These are the things you want to focus on. So that's step 1. Step 2, that resource plan, you have to focus on money. Step 3, your business plan. How will I finance my business? So now you know at step 2, you should have an idea. It may not be exact, but you should pretty much have a good idea how much money you need. When you get to step 3, now you got to talk about how you're going to get that money. So you've got to do more research and planning, and you have to be more detailed with your numbers. Collaborate with bankers and investors. This is where you need to really have banking individuals supporting you. And in step 4, That's your action plan. How are you going to manage the business to keep it healthy? Start off healthy and to keep it healthy. So you're going to have to update a living document that's going to change from time to time. I don't know if any of you have seen any articles or any news stories about people, their business. These were small businesses right before we got into COVID. And so this last action plan is all about having a plan, but when something changes, you have to pivot. You have to turn another direction and say, wait a minute, maybe instead of starting on XYZ date, I know whatever this thing is that stops us. Okay. So that's what we're talking about when we say you have to change with the times. Whatever is going on, you've got to be able to adapt, okay, in order for you to stay successful. So let's go to the next slide. So here's an example. Your business process and timing may differ from this, but this is just an example for you. So first, you see here the back of the napkin plan. So Maria was working on this, while she was still going to work every day, full time, but she had this back of the napkin plan in her head that she really wanted to focus on. Then the next step, she steps up once, she goes to the resource plan. We talked about that. Year 2, Maria works part-time at her job, not full-time anymore, because she wants to work part-time for herself. So now she's trying to activate her plan, or at least she's preparing to do so, because now she's getting into the business plan stage where she's focused on improving her credit score. Remember, we talked about the FICO scores. We can go back to that if we have time afterwards today. But that's going to be important because the lenders and the bankers that you're going to go to request for money, even if it's the small business loan, business association, places like that are there to support small businesses or first-time business owners, you're going to have to show them that you've managed your own finances well. Okay, so now she's at year 2. And then she's ready. She's got her score improved. Now she's at a place where she is ready to activate her plan. And so she starts to actually work full time for herself. And that takes some time, as you can see on the slide. So let's go to the next slide. So this was her back of the napkin plan, which was step 1. Her business was all around fixing smartphones, tablets, and little small appliances in that space. And so she's trying to figure out, should I start now or should I do it later? She's gathering information about what her credit score should be and how she can improve it. So by the time she goes out to start interviewing with leaders at local banking institutions and lenders, she's got improved her credit score in order to get a loan or something like that. You have to determine, do I need a website? I think today everybody's going to need that. I think, again, the pandemic of coronavirus has shown us the value of folks, if you can, if your business will support it, have a website. So if people can't come in and out of your store, for instance, they can order online. You may see my picture here in the background, and there was a very small business that started selling pictures in our neighborhood, and during the economic crisis, they had to shut down. So what they did is they had people ordering online from the business, and then the husband would bring the artwork to your home. So you have to be able to adapt. That's really what this is about. And a website oftentimes will help people with that. They were able to stay in business with that. And it took them probably about 5 years to get back to opening the doors and people coming in to purchase artwork. Who is your competition? You need to know that, because that's going to have a big effect on your business. If you're going into, let's say, a shopping mall or something, it could be a small one, and there are 3 shops that sell cards, and that's what you do, you don't want to find that out after you started signing contracts and things. You want to know up front who your competitors are. And your competitors can be those that are closest to you or far away, but you need to understand what they're offering, right? So that you can determine what to offer yourself that may be different, that will attract people to you. Who can help you find answers? And are you ready for all of this? That's what's going on in your mind as you're beginning to plan. So this is what we refer to as the back of the napkin plan. Let's go to the next slide. So your questions, if you're like me, I have to ask a lot of questions when I'm delving into something that's new. So first thing, if you want that business, you want to be thinking about what benefits am I trying to gain from my business? So most of us, if we're going to start a business, we want the money, right? Which is fine. So I'm going to say most of us, and if somebody on the call today, it's not a monetary business, it's something else, could you let us know? And you can do it by show of hands or taking off your mute button.
Yes, unmute.
Okay. All right, so I didn't hear from anybody, so I'm going to assume that if you want to start a business is to make money. So that's great. So then you want to start thinking about what size business you need in order to build so that you can achieve those benefits. Okay. I would say it probably makes sense if you haven't had a first-time business to start off small and gradually work your way up. But there may be some people on the line that have a different view or perspective or have already owned a business of their own and would like to say something about that. Okay. So the next thing is, have you identified a real business opportunity on which you can capitalize? There are lots of things that people can do and do well, but is it something that you actually can make money off of if your goal is to step out on your own? All right. And so that's where you really got to think about it. I also say, work with people, talk to as many people as you can. If you really want to start your own business, you should focus on meeting others and connecting with them. That's going to be the key to your success. And then the last one is, what assets do I need to purchase, rent, or lease? Who will I need to hire and how many employees do I need? So it's all about setting your business up with your space, your rental space, or whether or not you're going to purchase a space, and then who you're going to hire to work with you, because it's not likely you're going to be able to do all these things by yourself. So you're going to need at least one employee and probably 2 or 3 others to start out. Let's go to the next slide. So step 2 is the resource plan we talked about earlier. And we see here where Maria is trying to estimate her startup costs for the first 6 months of her business. If she can get through the first 6 months and have her estimates good, that's a good start for her. So you see for her space, equipment, and supplies, she's thinking she's going to need about $16,250. For her skill development, maybe it's something she has to learn that she didn't know about. She's got to pay $1,000 to take that class and get through that course so that she can do what it is she has to do. She's definitely going to need, everybody needs a bookkeeper or an accountant. You want that person because that person can keep you in business, help keep you in business. And so she's got to pay $1,700 for that. And then she's got insurance and taxes in the jurisdiction in which she will be a business owner. So you have to keep that in mind. And hers is $2,020. So let's go to the next slide. So keep in mind that your personal living expenses and all that is separate and apart from your business expenses. You don't want to commingle the two. That can get you into trouble, not just in financial trouble, but in trouble with the IRS. So be very clear when you're going to start your business, you separate it from your personal finances. So in step 2, again, Maria's total startup amount that we saw previously was a total of $21,000. But Maria doesn't have to go out and scout for $21,000. She has saved up $7,000 over the years preparing herself for this endeavor. Maria's share of the amount that she's going to have what we call as a down payment or something that referred to it here as owner equity. So this is you have some interest in your own business. And the only amount that Maria has to now save or raise, whichever she chooses to do, but we're thinking she's going to raise the money because she's about ready to get going, is $14,000. So we just deducted the $7,000 from the $21,000. And when she goes to her banking institutions or lenders, she's looking for $14,000 for a loan, unless she has a parent or some family member that's going to contribute to her endeavor, or maybe she is with a church or something and they have some special loans. There are a few in the DC area like that. There are churches that may have some money to help people start up to own their own business. So we'll talk more about how you look and find things. Next slide. So we talked about the fact that Maria had some stake in this game. Can anybody tell me what Maria's stake is in this game, this plan of hers to own her own business? Anybody?
Money she put down.
What does she have it on the line? Yes. I beg your pardon? Yes, the money, that's $7,000. If things fall apart for her, she's not just lost the business, but she's lost that money, that $7,000 that she's been saving up. And so this step 2 really talks about all the resources and things that you need to think about if you're going to go into business. And I would think if I've saved up $7,000, I'm looking at this with earnesty and sincerity to try to figure out all these things before I hop out there and throw away my $7,000. So she's going to consult with stakeholders. Can anybody tell me what a stakeholder might be? What kind of person might this be?
She can be an investor, someone that's investing money with her.
Absolutely. It can be an investor. It can also be a family member.
Yes.
If I've donated $5,000 to a family member, I'm now a stakeholder of that business. Or if I've loaned it, more importantly, I'm definitely a stakeholder, right?
I like
So
a
if it's
partnership.
yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. Anything, a partnership, a friend, or whoever is going to come and join you in the business, that's a stakeholder. We talk about competitors, and then there are other business owners, and this is key. A lot of people I find don't want to talk to other folks that they feel are either competitors or in their lane in terms of business. But whether you're on the job at work or whether you're going to start your own business, the worst thing you can do is not stay connected to people who are in the same type of business that you're in, because that's how we all learn and grow. And so if you don't do anything else and you're going to start a business, the first thing you want to do is start making connections with other folks who are in that particular business that you intend to go into. So for example, you want to know what are ideal locations. You can talk to people about that. People love to share and show you how smart they are. Take advantage of it. How do I find discounted equipment and supplies? What are the pros and cons of buying in bulk? This is really important because you can buy too much in bulk, and now that's affected your finances because you're not making the money to cover all of those products that you bought. So you have to have a healthy balance. What shall I offer as a fair wage or benefits for my employees? How much will I have to pay in federal, state, local, and sales tax in the jurisdiction I'm in? What should I expect to pay for insurance? When you're the owner, you're it. You've got to have insurance for a multitude of things. You got to have insurance in case someone comes in your store or your business area and they hurt themselves. There are different things that you have to have insurance for. So you will have to work within a company specifically. Even if you are just say your company is leasing out apartments, you're still going to need a special type of insurance policy for renting out apartments. It won't be just the type of policy that you have as someone that maybe rented out an apartment. Is specifically for business owners. What's the cost of pay for services? You know, a lot of people, they don't know how to develop a website. You have to pay people for those types of services, payment for website design and hosting the website. If there are issues with the website your vendors are trying to use, you have to have somebody host them. Those things add up. So all of this is just to say, are you really ready to go on to the next step? And if you aren't, that's fine. You can then again adjust and adapt and plan not to do it this year, maybe to do it next year. That's better than failing. Let's go to the next slide. So this is now we're getting serious. So we're at the stage where the answer to the last slide's question was, am I ready? Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable and I'm getting myself ready. So now you want to come up with the all important business plan. This is going to be for you probably one of the most important things that you can do and take your time doing to get it right, because this tells a story that makes your idea come alive. When you go in front of those bankers, when you go in front of those lenders, you have to be clear about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how you're going to make money doing it. You have to convince others to take a chance on you and your business. So you want to project your business plan out 3 years into the future, because they're going to be looking at you. If they're giving you a hefty loan, this is not going to be a one and done in 12 months or 24 months. At a minimum, 3 years. That's why you want to have that projection. Clearly outline your business development in terms of money. I'm going to do X starting this date, and here's how much these things are going to cost, because that's what the folks that will be looking at the plan are going to be thinking about. It's all about money. Okay. So be clear about that. And don't feel as though you have to start out doing a business plan on your own. One of the things that I love, and you guys probably are like me about the internet, is you can go out there and find anything you want today. And so you can look at different business plans online just to get an idea as to how you'd like to shape your own. And it might be worth it even to reach out to maybe a small business lawyer to pay a little bit to have someone help you with it, or an accountant or somebody like that. Because your goal is, when you get in front of the lenders and the financial institutions, the banking institutions you're working with, you want to be ready for them. And a lot of times people are not going to give you a second or third chance. A lot of times if they make a decision that you're not ready, it sticks. So you want to be prepared when you go into those places. Next slide. So this is a business plan for Sophia. Sophia and her family worked hard to raise her credit score. They met with the banker several times to get feedback and advice. She took a class. Remember, I talked to you about those classes. She took a class on writing a business plan, which was smart. And then she prepared her plan with family and friends. This process took time and it paid off. Just as I mentioned, family and friends funded her first startup costs. They funded her startup costs. So that meant that she had a good plan and they felt comfortable in her. Go to the next slide. So her sources of financial support: angel investors, crowdsourcing. I'm not familiar with crowdsourcing, but maybe someone on the phone is. I think it's a group of people that come together and decide that they're going to support someone. Oh, it's like GoFundMe. Okay. That's what I was thinking. A group of people that come together and decide they're going to support someone. Thank you very much. And so you have crowdsourcing, you have friends and family members, you have incubators. These are people who are looking for people that are doing something that's new and they're small and they want to help them. And they refer to them as incubators. You have local and state economic development organizations. Don't forget those local and state government entities, because a lot of times people don't realize that they have money and they have other things to support small businesses, because the small businesses in their jurisdiction help their economy grow. So don't forget them. You have peer-to-peer lending and you have small business loans. This one is referring to the SBA, the Small Business Administration, which is responsible for assisting small businesses. So let's go to the next slide. So what does it mean to be strategic? A lot of times you'll hear people talk to you when you're trying to start a business or you're doing, you're working on a big endeavor, they're like, what's your strategy? Are you strategic? This is just all about, I think this little picture here depicts something that is very easy for us to all remember. If you want to meet up with this sailboat, which direction would you steer? Meaning, which direction would you go? So the first thing we've talked about is planning, planning, planning. I cannot accentuate that enough. Plan for the future, not just today. You never know what's coming. Plan for change. The world is changing every day. We have to change with it. Learn from the past. And by here, I have in paren, really what we're talking about is grow and learn from your mistakes. We all make mistakes in our lives, whether it's in business, whether it's in our own business or at work or even at home. You make mistakes, but you learn from them. That's the key, not that you made the mistake, but that you learn the lesson from the mistake. Minimize your risk because doing these things are going to help you reduce your risk. We don't, again, remember, we don't want anybody losing that $7,000. Develop an action plan so that you can stay on course. And I'm going to also remind you to continue to revisit it routinely to make sure you are staying on course. So let's go to the next slide. So Sophia's action plan, remember your SMART goals. Achieve an average monthly customer count of 500 within 3 months. So let's just stop here for a minute and talk a bit about the SMART goals. Remember, SMART, S is for specific. So you see, Sophia has a specific goal she wants to accomplish. M is for measurable. It's something that you can measure and hold yourself accountable to. A is for attainable. If you look at the tasks, these are the things she's going to measure, but in the success criteria, she's trying to do things that are attainable. She's not trying to get 500 customers in 1 month. She's going to start off with 4, and then month 2, add 50, and month 3, try to add 50 more. That's setting yourself up for something that you both can measure and it's something attainable. And then the time frame, which is it's relevant, right? And she has September as time based. So the time frame of September is both relevant and time based. That's the main thing, that how long is it going to take you to get it done? So those are our SMART goals. This exercise is one you probably want to go back over this particular slide when Ms. Juanita sends you the deck, because as you put together your SMART goals, I think this particular slide will help you because it focuses you in on chomping up things, cutting up things and having to do things one at a time and not overwhelming yourself as you plan a business. So the more SMART goals you can come up with, the better off you are. And you can see where she's given you, we've given you examples of Sophia first starting her action plan using SMART goals, but then you see from September to December, she has a different set of goals, okay? But they're still SMART goals. So she's advancing her projections around her business. Next slide. So let's go into that SMART goal specifically. This is another one you want to pay close attention to. State the goal precisely. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you want your business to be known for? The next one is measurable. Good measurements let you know when a goal is completed. So, with the young lady who had the business, we saw that her thing was to bring on so many more customers. This will be one of the things that you'll be focused on as well. Then you have to measure how you're going to do that, and you have to have specific goals. So these two slides, the previous one and this one, go hand in hand. Attainable, we talked a little bit about that. You got to be clear that it's not likely you're going to be able to bring on 2,000 customers your first 3-4 months of the business. So you want it to be attainable and somewhat realistic, right? And then you want it to be relative, meaning relevant. You want it to be something that's specifically tied to that top goal where it says specific. That's what we're talking about, relevant, because you're trying to accomplish something. And lastly, it's time bound or time based. The goal has a completion date. Okay. Next slide. So there she is. She's excited. She says, I can do this. She recognizes that the summary key points are there's more than one way to plan. Planning helps you refine ideas and limit errors. Can anybody tell you what I talked about specifically that's really going to help you with your business? Something you think might be the most important thing.
The SMART goals.
SMART
Yeah.
goals. That's right. The
I
SMART.
think I
And-
agree. I think planning ahead and having a strategy plan. I think that's the key here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you've got a plan, and then you got to be prepared to change when things change. You can't stay stuck when you know, hey, there's a pandemic out there, and I'm just opening up my restaurant. And now the governor for the state has said, I can only have X number of people in here. So how else do I continue to move my product? Because I've got all this food I've purchased. We found a lot of people pivoting and changing to take out orders and delivery and things like that. Developing a business plan is always going to be key. And one of the most important things is talking to different people about your business, and particularly those who are already in the business space. So engage stakeholders in the process. And if you've had banking institutions or family members that have supported you, continue to engage them, because they can help you think through things that you might not think through because you're knee deep in it. Even when you get the investments you need, plan strategically to ensure that you have a healthy business. Next slide. So let's summarize the benefits and the risk. So we have the benefits of planning, and then we have the risk of not planning. So the benefits are know where you are and where you're going, save time and money, ask great questions of everybody, develop a team to help you make logical decisions. Don't just assume that you got it. The best thing you can do is get a feel for other people that think differently from you, that might give you an idea that you hadn't even thought of, or help you make a decision that's about something you didn't even think about. Measure your progress. We've talked about the SMART goals, and focus on your finances, and don't forget to keep them separate from your personal finances. What happens when folks don't do these things that we've been talking about, they waste time and they lose money. They miss out on opportunities. They risk burnout because they're trying to do everything on their own. And then what happens is they alienate the investors or the stakeholders that were trying to do business with them. They say, okay, I'm out. I can't help you anymore because you're not organized. And then the business fails to quantify. The person seems to fail at what it was they were really trying to do to start with. Okay, next slide. So the summary is, what final questions do you have? What have you learned and how would you evaluate this particular training? And I'm gonna let Charles, I think, was that his name? I saw it. It's a gentleman. He had something in the chat.
Yes, Charles said, so when calculating costs and employee wages, do you include your own part-time wages to pay yourself?
So yes, I would say that if you're a business owner, you would do that. But what I find is, and this is just hearsay because I've never owned a business, but I find a lot of small businesses don't start off paying themselves right away. They try to get the business going and they have a set amount of money there that they can use for it. But there may be others on the call who have a different experience or know more about this.
There's two ways they can do it.
First
They can,
time.
they can calculate their own salary into the monthly costs of the business,
Mhm.
or they can have saved money over time to pay off their bills during the time they're going to increase their income. So that's one of the reasons
Salary.
why a lot of people keep their part-time job, because the first 6 months they really aren't getting much income for themselves.
Yeah, that's been my experience, that most people that I know, that when they first started their business, they weren't really making, enough money to have a really robust salary or something. So you really want to think through. It's up to you. I mean, you can factor that in, but it just depends on how many customers you have and how many people actually support your business. But good question, very, very good question. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, so it looks like we have no more questions. Again, Ivory.
Charles has, Charles had one more.
Okay, are there new resources available from recently passed legislation? And
I haven't heard.
go on.
No, I was just going to say, I haven't heard of any if he's talking about for small businesses.
If you have an established business, then the COVID relief would be the monies for established businesses that are there already, but not for new businesses, not that I know of.
Right, same here. SBA is great. I've known a number of people to reach out to them. It may be a little hard. You may have to push, but my understanding is that, once you get established with them, they're really good. And the other thing I would encourage people to do is, if you look around in the area that you're in and you see any federal government agency, Department of Labor, or any agency, go to that agency to see if they have, because all agencies typically have a small business and disadvantage utilization office. And that's important because they will have, they will take your name, and then when they have people in their particular organizations that are looking for, say, a small accountant or whatever it is, they will have a marketing session for people to come in and provide their resume and their business plan and are interested. So make sure that you don't sleep on those federal, and then probably some state and local government agencies will have an office like that too.
There's also Accion. Accion offers assistance with small business. And if you go through their training, it's usually about $75 to go through their training. Well, that's what it was a couple of years ago. They will then open up for a $5,000 loan for small businesses. YMCA does help with the child care services and helps with setting up all of that. And then you have another one called Lift Up or Uplift, which was up in the City Heights area that we're offering some funding for that. But I'm not sure if that's still available now. But there are a number of other resources. It's just as Ivory was saying, research and look for what's out there to help you and assist you. I do recommend that you do reach out to Accion, because they do have a number of resources that'll help fund a business.
Very good. Well,
So
it was
guys,
nice.
uh-huh.
I was just saying, it's nice talking to everybody, and I really wish you well for those who are planning or thinking about starting a business.
I want to thank everyone. We have one more small business workshop next week. And so that is where you determine whether small business is right for you or not. It's a part 3 of this series. So I hope to see you all there. Next week, as we talked earlier about the mental health first aid certification training that we're having next week. Hope to see you all there. And then we're having Habitat for Humanity. Their home buyer program is tomorrow. It will be in Spanish. If you are interested in that program, we do have the recording from the English version. Let me know and we'll send it out. And so without any further ado, everyone have a great afternoon, and we will be signing off. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Great
See you
presentation.
next
Bye. See you
time.
next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Bye-bye.